listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, welcome, or hopefully it's welcome back. This is another show today that is going to be just dynamite because we have an incredible guest. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents I Have a Story to Tell, except it's not my story. It's the story of our guest. I'm your host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and it is my pleasure to welcome back, because he's been on other shows, but welcome back, Philip Sykes from the British School of Etiquette. Welcome, Philip.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Lovely to see you again, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity to engage with you.
It's so nice to have you here. You just are doing some incredible things in the world because we need more manners, more etiquette, more kindness, more generosity, and you stand for all of those things. So thank you.
Thank you. It's just wonderful to have this opportunity to engage with as many people who understand the power of what we do, the power of etiquette and manners, and how every single one of us can make a huge change in our life on every single level.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And what I really love about this particular show and having you here today is that people know you for manners and etiquette, and because you're the principal of the school, and you bring so much knowledge and engagement to the world, but you're also a person. You have a backstory, you have a life, and I think it's interesting if we can just dive a little bit into that. But let's start out with what you're doing at the British School of Etiquette, and maybe give an overview for folks who are not familiar in the States of what value and what services you provide there.
Certainly, thank you. The British School of Etiquette was founded purely on bringing people together and bringing cultures together so that we can learn from one another and take the good from each other's cultures and implement it into our lives. And I truly believe that we've coined a phrase called the power of etiquette and manners. And a lot of people look at this as nice to have, fluffy sort of stuff, whereas actually they couldn't be further from thinking on the contrary, it's got nothing to do with fluffy sort of stuff. This is people skills. This is core life skills. Some people like to look at it as soft skills, and I'm not a fan of the word soft skills because it sounds too flimsy. So I think these are core life skills that we as human beings need to inculcate into our lives. And when we do so, doors open up for us. And here at the British School of Etiquette, it's not an organization that is dining out literally on British etiquette, so to say. It's got nothing to do with the British etiquette in its entirety. It's actually about etiquette and manners and how we guide our way through life. And etiquette is there so we don't smash into each other. When we travel to various countries, we have rules to engage with people from that particular culture and that sort of country. So etiquette and manners are there actually to support us and help us so that we don't bump into one another. And here at the British School of Etiquette, we incorporate and put flesh on the bone and give people the true understanding of the power of etiquette and manners. For example, do not let your mood dictate your manners sort of scenario. And we go down the road and we start as young as sort of 5-6 year olds on our Etiquette program, which is a very dynamic and powerful series that the children take on board. We then move from that into the power of the pen, handwriting skills, presentation skills. We then go up a level to mindset and manners, which is our teenage etiquette program. And as the word, literally the title is mindset and manners. So we talk hugely about emotional intelligence. We talk about how to shift your mindset, how to really build yourself up as an individual, and how to take yourself forward and be professional in your approach. We then have programs such as the Polished Professional, which is for anyone in business, whether it's your own business, working for an organization, in any industry, whatever it might be that you're in, is the power of etiquette and manners and how you can build yourself, build your business, build your confidence, build your brand. Branding is such a powerful element of who we are and how we incorporate our sort of message and story to people. Because if you don't brand yourself, someone's definitely going to brand you, that's for sure. So we go into all of these little nuts and bolts in the actual program and give you some fundamental tools and skill sets in allowing you to be very dynamic and professional in your approach. One of our flagship programs is Train the Trainer, where we have had the privilege to work with over 90 people from all corners of the earth to date. 90 people have come through our Train the Trainer program. We've got an alumni platform where all the past trainer trainers are members of. And this is for people who really want to take on board what we deliver and then go on and deliver it to their own audience or take on a partnership with our organization. We're very blessed and very privileged that we now have partnerships in Brazil, Bermuda, Poland, Japan, India, Pakistan. We're about to launch in a few other countries which are on the cards, which is very, very exciting. And we've realized very early on, I've realized really early on, before the British School of Etiquette really came to fruition, the importance and the power of emotional intelligence, EQ. And so EQ is a fundamental part of our organization. We have a separate EQ faculty where we really focus on giving people the tools to really gain and understand the importance, the power of emotional intelligence. And the Leading with Emotional Intelligence, which is going across the bottom of the screen as I speak, is one of the most dynamic, powerful courses for anyone out there who really want to take themselves to not just the next level, but to levels above and beyond. So that's just, Dr. Jacalyn, in a nutshell, to the audience of what the British School of Etiquette is all about. We focus on excellence, we focus on being better than yesterday, and we focus very heavily on making an impact now and forevermore. In other words, be the influence for generations to come. Something I was reading a book the other day, and I wrote this down: live a life of excellence and integrity, affecting generations to come. And I just love that, because this is our responsibility. We need to depart this earth, leaving a legacy, leaving a trail behind us of good, leaving a trail behind us of helping other people. And that for me is the true essence of what this is really all about.
Well, you certainly are passionate about what you're doing, which leads me to believe you really like what you're doing. And I want to get into how and why you chose this path. But something that just popped into my head, there's a movie, I'm not sure if you've seen it, it's called Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. And there's a point where she wants to learn the table setting, which fork to use. And the reason I bring this up is when she was trying to absorb all that information, then she went to the business meeting, she had more confidence in herself because she had taken this lesson. But at the same time, she was still concerned about the fork and I think it was an oyster. So I know what you do is you help build confidence in people. And when you have manners and you follow certain protocol and certain etiquette, it gives you a strong sense of confidence. Would you agree?
You summed that up so beautifully, and I'm so glad you brought up the Julia Roberts scene, because we actually use that in some of our coaching material. And I love the scenario because there's kindness in the hotel manager. He takes Barney, he takes her under his wing, and he really guides her and steers her, not just with the table manager, but with dress code and that sort of thing. And you could see how insecure she was when she was entering that restaurant. And Richard Gere says to stop fidgeting, and you could see that this is a world that she was not familiar with on any single level. Yet she managed to sort of fit into it to a certain degree, but there was still that strong element of intrepidation. And there's so many wonderful sort of lessons to be learned in that particular scene, is because when she's fumbling and she's not sure how to eat the pate on the toast, the elder gentleman says, "Oh, I never know which knife and fork to use," and just picks it up with his hands. And so it puts her at ease. And this is the power of having dynamic etiquette and manners. It's the know-how, Dr. Jacalyn, and I love it. It is about confidence. And there's an amazing French phrase, which you don't need to speak French to understand what this phrase really lends itself to, but this wonderful phrase called savoir-faire. And when you have savoir-faire, you have know-how, you have knowledge. That's really what the savoir-faire means. And when we have know-how and knowledge, or knowing what to do in any given situation, boom, That's what gives you confidence. That's what helps you. And I look at that as sort of you creating a little toolbox for yourself. We have a brand of football, soccer team, football, English football, called Arsenal. And an Arsenal is a storage box for ammunition. And I look at this whole process is when you equip yourself with savoir-faire, you're creating your own little secret little storage box of confidence. So when you're going into a certain situation, you open up the storage box and you go, oh, I've got this. I know how to handle myself in that situation. Or you go into this situation. I know how to handle myself in this situation. And that is the essence. That is absolutely it. Because when we've got confidence, we can take on the world.
Brilliant. Yes, I totally agree with you. I noticed that you're standing, and when you've been on before, you were standing, and you're always very well dressed. Can you share with us what is the importance when you show up and you are on a Zoom call or you're in an interview of standing and being well dressed?
Again, great question, and thank you. It's about first impressions, and I think every one of us, we judge people within 3 to 6 seconds whether we like it or not. And I really want to drive everyone away from judging, because one never knows what someone else is going through in life. But your first impression is going to be a lasting impression, and it takes as much effort to put on an old T-shirt as it does pretty much what I'm wearing today for this wonderful interview. And I think you are your brand. So for me, this elevates me. This elevates me mentally, emotionally. I feel proud. I feel secure. I feel confident. And when you out there, any of you out there, when you put something on that really fits you perfectly and suits you, and the color complements your complexion, it's going to elevate you 100%. That is for sure. It's a known fact. Psychologists, people in the medical world, in the mindset world, will absolutely advocate what I'm sharing with you is 100% true. So for me, it is about appearance. It is about presentation. And again, this will only help you put your correct foot forward. And even if you are lacking a hint of confidence internally with your mindset, just the way you present yourself can override and give the other person that you've pitched up, you're there, you're present, you're in the moment. And this really will give any single person out there the opportunity to make a lasting impression. And this is what this is about. I think every single one of us need to show up each day. And when it comes to Zoom calls and Zoom coaching, I love to stand. I'm not a big fan of me sitting looking into the computer. Dr. Jacalyn, you're in your studio, it works brilliantly. I've set up a studio here back in the UK. But when I'm working and I'm coaching, I feel the energy comes from me being able to stand. I can deliver sitting, obviously, but for me, it's my sort of place of feeling very confident and very, very secure. And I'm also, as I think a lot of you who are able to watch this live or are able to watch this back on a screen, you'll notice that I use my body language a huge amount. And body language is possibly the most powerful tool to communicate with people. 55% of our body language is communication. Tonality is the other 35%, and only 7% of the spoken word is really that effective. So body language to connect with your audience. And for those of you who are presenting or doing Zoom calls, stand in front of a mirror and really watch what your body is sharing and saying. Is it complementing what's coming out of your mouth? Is it really helping you connect with your audience? And you'll notice when Dr. Jacalyn and I greeted one another today, we both did a little namaste and leaned slightly into the screen. And in that way, you can connect.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I always enjoy listening to you speak, and you hold yourself, you carry yourself with such presence, and that definitely comes across. On an earlier show, I was speaking about the fact that people will show up for an interview and they're in their bedroom and the bed's unmade and there's clothes all over. And I think, why are you showing up today? Because the way you're showing up, I don't even want you on the show, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I'm with you. Dr. Jacalyn, it's like let's say you, and I'm just going to use this as let's say you were more to a hippie way of dressing in style, and you pitched up at your friend's wedding because that's the way you like to dress. Not that is disrespecting the bride and the groom, because it's not about you at the end of the day. And if you've given someone the opportunity to appear in your program on your amazing shows, they need to pitch up in every sense of the word. Punctuality, number one. Number two, make sure you dress for the occasion. Number three, have a good background, or blur your background out. You know, you've got to show up. You've got to look into the camera. You can't be looking down at the screen. I mean, as lovely as you are, Doctor, I can't keep looking at the screen. I've got to realize that my audience is through the eye of that camera, unfortunately, as much as I really want to connect and look at the screen on a regular basis. And I think one of the powerful things about the actual standing where I am now, I'm about 1.5 meters away from my screen. So in that way, I can connect more directly with the audience, even if I'm looking straight into my screen.
All very valid points. I hope people are taking notes, because you're getting advice that you don't have to pay for, and it's from an expert. Philip, what was it that led you to this path of where you are now? We'd love to hear a little bit about your background before the school.
Yeah, certainly. It's a lovely question, and I actually love telling this journey and story. My mum was born in Malawi in mid-Africa, well, just above South Africa, in the 40s, and she grew up in a very strong colonial sort of background, living in Lorenzo Marques in Maputo in those days, Mozambique now. And my dad came from the United Kingdom and went out to Africa in the 60s. And he was very fortunate. He went to a very good school. He was educated at Oxford University. And they met in Johannesburg, and they had 4 children. I'm the eldest. And we were very, very fortunate because they instilled manners in us from a very, very young age. And there was consistency with it. And this was obviously a phenomenal grounding. And that was then topped up with my father working exceptionally hard to send us to very good school, possibly one of the best schools in the country, which again just literally complemented what my parents had instilled in us from a very young age. And there was all about manners maketh the man or woman, you know, punctuality, shine shoes. You weren't allowed to have your uniform looking, you know, shirt tails out or anything like that. Everything, there was absolute direction and clarity on what they expected of you at the school I went to. So there was no gray areas. It was either wrong or right. There was no in between. And so that for me, I think always allowed me to it helped me build my confidence right across the board. And again, the school I went to, you know, gave us the opportunity to stand up and speak in front of people, things such as Toastmasters, that sort of thing, and debating societies, and drama. And having left school, funny enough, audience at Dr. Jacalyn, I didn't actually know what I wanted to do with my life. And my mum, I'm sure, was pulling her hair out at the time, you know, Philly boy, as she called me. What do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, Mum, I don't know. So I took a year off and I traveled to the UK for the first time in my life, really. I came there, I think, as a small baby, but to visit my grandparents, and they used to come out and visit us in Africa. I think it was far more appealing for them to come over to Africa in the Easter break. And my journey here to the UK was phenomenal. I lived in the north of London, Camden Town. It was sort of the back end of the punk and 80s era, and very quirky, very edgy. And, you know, as a young white South African, you know, my eyes were on stalks. This was a world completely foreign to me. And my first job was at the Hard Rock Cafe here in London at Hyde Park Corner, cleaning tables and serving. I was a busboy, you know, taking the bins, dirty trays to dishes to the dish room, jumping into the dish room when the dishes needed washing, and one of the dish cleaners hadn't pitched up for work or whatever it was. So that for me was a fantastic grounding in, I think, just building me to stand on my own 2 feet, and, you know, gave me more confidence. I then disappeared and left that after a year and went to do a ski season in Kitzbühel in Austria, and went back to Africa in mid '88. Now, our education system in Africa doesn't start until January. So the academic year is January through to pretty much end of November, beginning of December. So my mum said, you know, what are you going to do? And I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to find a waitering job. And I was very fortunate. I found a waitering job at one of the top restaurants in the country called the Colony Restaurant. And that for me, I would say, is one of my, bar what my mum and dad have done for me, that is one of my pivotal, powerful moments where Val Beat and Brian, the couple who ran and owned the business, were phenomenal restaurateurs, and their son Sean was a good mate of mine, very good mate of mine, and we basically threw ourselves into working at the Colony Restaurant, and it taught me the most phenomenal lessons about, you know, attention to detail, about the art of really giving people your ear, listening to what people want to, and really taking on board. In other words, I share with so many people, let's listen to understand rather than listen to respond. And so all of these areas of expertise were taught to me, the excellence of service, customer service, understanding your ingredients so that you can sell your product perfectly, and really making sure that you engage with people on all levels. So that was my mid-88. And then I joined hotel school at the beginning of 89. So my hotel school degree was 3 years. And I continued working at the Colony during my first 2 years at hotel school. Then I was posted to a beautiful hotel in Cape Town, the finest hotel, called the Mount Nelson Hotel, where I did my food and beverage training. And again, precision, 5-star. It used to be under the brand of the Orient Express Group. Now it's changed names, but amazing, amazing brand. It was the old, gracious old lady of Cape Town. And then I went to, after that, I did 6 months in front of house at the Johannesburg Sun and Towers, which is a hotel that no longer exists. Again, the best hotel in its sector in the business world in Johannesburg. And for me, again, phenomenal grounding, amazing grounding. And off the back of that, I then came back to the UK, and that's when I joined Hyatt in Knightsbridge for a year and ran a little food and beverage department for a boutique hotel in Knightsbridge. And to my mum's horror, I said, Mum, I'm actually leaving the industry and I'm going to go back and do another ski season. She was at her wit's end with me. She said, you could be climbing the ladder in Hyatt, blah, blah, blah. And she's right. Mums are always right. I 100% agree. But it wasn't my journey. It wasn't my choice. So I went off and did another ski season, and I learned to be a ski instructor. It was my pure focus to learn to be a ski instructor. I was a chambermaid in the mornings and the evenings, and then I got up on the mountain to learn to be a ski instructor. So that's where the journey really started. And do we need to take a commercial break, or are we going?
So we do need to take a commercial break. I was just going to say that it's interesting how one thing is building on another, and ultimately it all comes together if you think about it.
Yeah, totally.
So stay with us. We're going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors, but we've got a lot more to discuss with Philip, and we will be right back.
Super. See you shortly.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. I have a story to tell, except it's Philip's story. In our first segment, we heard a little bit about the British School of Etiquette and the services that they provide and the value that you get as a student. And as somebody who subscribes even online, you can go and take advantage of what they're offering there. And in the second segment, we were hearing a little bit about Philip's journey, how he ended up where he is today. So I want to go back to the part about you becoming the ski instructor. And as I said before we went to break, how each of these things are building on top of each other. What would you say were the lessons that you learned from being an instructor that you now apply to what you're doing today?
That's a great question. I suppose for me, it's understanding and being patient. And many years, funny enough, it's a fantastic question, because many years ago, I had the privilege of working with a gentleman who was actually deaf. And you really had to be totally present and understand that, if I was saying to you, let's go ski up that mountain over there, and I turned my lips and my face away from you, you're not going to understand or connect with me. So that taught me the power and importance of our body language. It really reiterated for me how important it is that we really make every effort to use our body language to the best of our ability, that we really genuinely connect with people. And again, going down the road of instructing and helping people to overcome this fear is something which is such an amazing opportunity to be able to engage in. And I say this because you can have the most high-powered people running big organizations, but if they've never, or they've very rarely put 2 feet on a pair of skis, their feet in a pair of skis, and then now they're standing on the top of a hill, you see fear in them. And again, it's being able to give them that opportunity to deliver confidence and to give them the opportunity to believe in themselves. This is something that really resonated strongly with me, and it was such an amazing opportunity to work with people of all ages in the ski world, and to also be able to understand how privileged we are to be able to endure and engage in a sport such as snow skiing.
Great answer. Just a little story about snow skiing. I was in Vermont on a high school trip, and we went skiing, and I think it was the first time, and I was coming down the mountain, and 2 other guys came and knocked me over, and all 3 of us rolled down the hill after that. And I can tell you the fear that I felt, but I went and got back up on the skis, but I went cross-country skiing from there. And I think there's a lot of lessons that you can learn when you're skiing, because you feel, at least initially, so out of control, and that your environment or the skis are controlling you, and you have to learn to take charge of that.
Completely, 100%. And you really have to initiate a true understanding of you. I know there's an innuendo. It's about balance, and I truly believe life's about a balance. And if you can understand how you can set your gravity, center yourself on your skis, and understand that by looking down at the ground, you're gonna end up crashing. So there's another lesson in that. Stand up, look ahead. Whether we're on skis or whether we're walking through life, you've got to stand up and look forward. And that for me is such an amazing sort of analogy and cross combination.
And it also seems like you have to have a certain amount of trust in yourself that everything's going to be all right, that if you've done your research, your body is reacting, that it's going to work out. So even though I fell, I still got back up. And
most important to do.
Yes.
And I think, as you say, maybe you didn't stick with the so-called, what we call alpine skiing, downhill skiing, but you moved on to something, and I mean, for any of you out there who've tried cross-country skiing, it's not an easy task. They're funny, thin little planks that you put on your feet, and you can go upside down in a split second, and it takes a lot of skill. And again, when you're going down the little hillocks, you've got to know what you're doing. So it takes a huge amount of discipline and skill, and again, it helps you build your confidence.
And it's a great workout, by the way. Just want to add that in.
I think it's one of the best, when you do the full proper cross country, it's one of the best workouts you can actually do.
Yes, it definitely. So I highly recommend it, although here we're moving into summer, which is very exciting. Yeah. Philip, I want to ask you, What are some of the values that you hold so dearly? We talked about some of them backstage, but what is really important to you?
I love that question, and I know I shared this on one of your past shows that we were. I had the privilege of being on. I think I want to sum that up in a world where you can be anything, be kind. I think that is crucial and fundamental. No matter where you are or what situation you're in, being kind is a key ingredient. Number two is always having a "what can I do for you" attitude. How can I help you? How can I support you? And along with that, always give and never remember. Always receive and never forget. So for me, those two are very, very crucial. The third one that is fundamental is giving people the feeling or the ability to feel comfortable in any given situation. In other words, putting people at ease in a very short space of time. That is a key ingredient for me. And making sure you have a "what can I do for you" attitude to complement that putting people at ease. And one area that I love sharing with people is that, if we all do a random act of goodness or kindness or on a daily basis, we will and we might just set the world in the right direction. It's going down the route of the good deed. And these are areas that I think are absolutely crucial in our lives. And one other area that I'm fundamentally focused on is going down your gratitude journey. Every day I go on a gratitude journey a couple of times a day, just saying thank you for all I have in my life, all I've been provided with, all I am able to do, and how proud and privileged I am to be able to do what I do. And this is a key ingredient that sets me on track on a daily basis. So for all of you out there going down that road of gratitude, never underestimate the power and importance of gratitude. We all need to understand what we've got in our lives rather than what we don't have in our lives. And I was very privileged to go on to a talk show, or not a talk show, it's actually a platform which is called HIT Talks. And again, it's hope, inspiration, and transformation. And I'll never forget, one of the ladies on there shared something along the following lines. So many of us say, why is this happening to me? Why me? She turned it around and she said, why is this happening for me? Why is this taking place for me? So I would love you, all of you to understand the power of gratitude, the power of our mindset. And we need to live each day and every day in the present. Don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow you can't do anything about it, anything that's happening tomorrow. You can plan and you can prepare 100%. But don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will take care of itself, as long as you've got your plan and your guidance. Now, again, I think something that really stands out for me in your question there, Dr. Jacalyn, is understanding that time is such a privilege. The time we have on this earth, make the most of it. Leave a lasting impression. There's that wonderful Maya Angelou quote that says, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And for me, that is something that is absolutely crucial, because you can live your life, whatever lifestyle you want to live, and be nasty and horrible to people. But when you do depart this earth, how will people remember you? What will people be saying about you? And so there are many sort of areas that I could dive into in that question you just asked me. But that's it pretty much in summary.
I know that was a big question, but thanks. You answered it very well. On this platform, we're really privileged to have people who are very evolved, meaning people who believe in the power of affirmations, people who believe in prayer, people believe in meditation. And I'm very grateful for that. I also do my affirmations twice a day. I pray and have so much to be thankful for. How do you interact with someone who randomly comes across your path in life, who's not, I don't want to use the word, there's no judgment, but someone who hasn't found the tools, doesn't have the toolbox that you have?
Cool. Another wonderful question. Dr. Jacalyn, I think firstly is listening to their story and trying to sort of understand them as where they are, as where they might be in their lives, and then giving them some tools and guidance. And I think through demonstration, through your actions can really help other people. You know, we need to be consistent in who we are. You know, I love a laugh, I love a giggle, I love a wiggle on the dance floor. I love embracing life. I have great fun, and I love telling a joke and a story. You know, doing what I do, and I'm privileged as anything. I mean, you said, you know, it sounds like you love what you do. You know, I love what I do, and I'm blessed. There's not a day that goes past that I look at this as a job or work. So, you know, we all in life need to walk the walk and talk the talk. And when people can see that you're consistent, that you can give, and you are the way you are, that can really knock some real amazing influence into their lives, into their mindset. And it might not be instantaneous, but they might walk away pondering, oh my, there was something different about that individual. There was something that they had that I really was fascinated with, and something that maybe I can implement into my life. Now, having said that, you know, I think by sharing stories with people on how someone was and how they've turned out can also be an amazing way of influence. And for anyone out there who's trying to help other people and influence other people and help them make a change in their lives, you know, do it through the power of storytelling, and make sure that the story you're telling is based on either your journey, as in truth, or at least a story that you 100% know is true. And through that, you can really help people. I genuinely believe it. And, you know, there's no abracadabra boof and the bunny rabbit jumps out the hat, unfortunately. There isn't. This takes work, and every single one of us have a choice. Every day we wake up, you've got a choice. You can either embrace the day, or you can say, I'm not interested in today, and you can go through life with that attitude. And we all know what happens if you go through life with that attitude. And complaining and moaning, it does zero for you. It doesn't give you any advantage in life on any level. I can well assure anyone out there. So for those of you who complain, oh, there's no milk left in the fridge, or oh, this happened, oh, it always happens to me, oh, you're just tripping yourself up. You know, you really are. You're planting negative roots into your life. And if any of you want to know where you're going to be 5 years from now, listen to what you're saying. Listen to the words that come out of your mouth, because the moment we speak, we give life to our words. Okay, the moment we speak, we give life to our words. And so, you know, the power of our words is huge, and you can move yourself in the right direction with powerful, positive words. And again, Dr. Jacalyn, you know, we're here to help people. The more we can help people, the more doors open up for us. And you know what? If they don't open up for us individually, then you're preparing for the generation to follow behind you. You're going to open doors for them going forward. I truly 100% believe that.
I believe that as well. And you're passionate about what you do. You love what you do. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm passionate about what I do, and it's not easy. And I was thinking today as I was getting ready, how privileged I am that I'm spending my day with friends. I thought about you. I thought about Daphne. I thought about John Christian, and I got to meet Sarah. I thought, this is unbelievable. But you know, before the pandemic, I was in a completely different situation. And if I was still holding on to that, I'd never be here. And oh, by the way, I'd like to also add that I was always ill. I was always sick. I had high blood pressure. Now I don't even take any medication. So please take away from what we're sharing with you that if you are grateful, if you do practice kindness, if you find your lane and let go of all these things that you think are holding you back, you're holding you back. That's what's holding you back. You can find passion and love for what you do every day.
100%. And that's the thing. Step out of your body and look at yourself and ask yourself, who do you want to be? You know, every single day, say to yourself, I'd like to be the person that I would like to meet, and that you are your brand. And because if you don't brand yourself, someone's going to brand you. And I promise you right now, this is where etiquette and manners and good emotional intelligence will open doors that literally some of the best education cannot. I mean, Clarence Thomas wrote that wonderful quote, good manners will open up doors that the best education cannot or would not. I don't agree with it. I love it. I think education is phenomenal. Reading, get off your social media, educate yourself. Honestly, do not waste your precious time, because we're here today and we're gone tomorrow. Time is the most valuable thing, time and health, because this moment's gone. This moment's gone. And when those moments are gone, you can never wind back the clock. Warren Buffett says, I can pretty much afford anything in this world, but I cannot buy time. And so all of us out there, we really need to understand the power of what Dr. Jacalyn's bringing to you as an audience out there, the people that she's engaging with that are there to support you and help you on your journey. Every single one of us has the opportunity to do something amazing with our lives. And I love the analogy, if I can do it, why can't you? You know, if I can do it, if Dr. Jacalyn can shift in her career path and do what she's doing right now, any one of you can do that too. If any of you wants to go out there and help people in the world of etiquette and manners and EQ and core life skills, any single one of you can do that. I promise you that. But you've got to have the willingness, that you've got to have the drive, you've got to have the foresight to be able to get out there and do it and take a chance. What's the worst that could happen? Weigh it up. What's the best that could happen? And what's the most likely? These are such key tools that I'm sharing with all of you. And, you know, Dr. Jacalyn, you talk about, you know, being ill and really falling off your horse and thinking, oh, my hat. The moment you take that dynamic shift in life, it's amazing how things just take a huge, completely different, it's like having a spotlight of energy shining down on you. And, you know, again, you know, going back to my journey, if I may, you know, so I've done various things in my life. And, you know, when I set up the organization, I've always loved helping people. So leading from my mum pulling her hair out and what's in, I eventually finished that ski season and went back to South Africa. And I ended up in my early 20s opening up one of the top restaurants it became one of the top restaurants in the country within its first year. And not because of the good food. The food was great. It's a 9s out of 10s, 8s out of 10s, 10 out of 10. But it was that attention to detail. It was that overall experience. It was knowing our regulars, knowing exactly what people had last time, which wine they chose last time. Were they eating with their knives and forks reversed because they were left-handed? Whatever it might have been. And you must bear in mind, audience out there was no digital in those days. Everything was handwritten. We documented everything. I was on the shop floor with my team, supporting them, making sure they knew every single bit about the menu. They could recommend and give 10 ingredients of each dish. They would come in with amazing passion. They would be able to guide and steer people on their journey with us while they were with us at Pages in Time. And eventually I sold that business in 1997. And I did come back to the UK for good. So I've been living in the UK permanently, pretty much, give or take. I went and did another ski season for the Swiss ski school in Champéry in the Port de Soleil. But I permanently, I suppose, on my feet on the ground here, has been since 1999. And the British School of Etiquette really came out of, again, I truly believe people come into our lives and there's a journey. God's got a plan for us. I do 100% believe that. And out of the blue, I'd gone through a bumpy road. I'd gone through a separation and a divorce, and my confidence was knocked, and that's another whole story. But out of the blue, I got a phone call on a Sunday evening from an good old friend of mine who remembered we actually used to hang out a lot together in South Africa, ride horses down Noordhoek Beach, and we were very close mates and friends. And out of the blue, he phoned me and said, "Philip, what are you up to these days?" And I said, "Wow, I haven't spoken to this chap in 10 years. And he said, "Come and have a coffee with me in London." So I went through to London in 2011, or I think it was 2011, 2012, maybe, I can't remember exactly. And this chap was running a butler school. So what? He had reinvented himself in his late 40s. He had gone to butler school. He then became a butler for the Ritz Hotel. Again, you know, by absolutely being better than yesterday and standing out from the crowd. He was picked up by a very wealthy family and headhunted from the hotel to be their private butler and head domo. And then there was an opportunity for him to teach people to be butlers. And he said, "I just remember how dynamic, and you were way ahead of your time with your restaurant. Please come and observe what we're doing with the view to getting involved." And that's exactly what happened. And it was just phenomenal. I sat in on a complimentary for a couple of weeks, observing, watching, adding my 10, 20 pence, 20 cents influence and input. And then there was an opportunity to go down the road of, we discussed maybe a partnership in etiquette and that sort of thing. And no disrespect, but women are an incredible judge of character. And my wife had met this gentleman a few times. Brilliant trainer, a great giggle and lots of fun. But she said, "Philip, you don't need to go into business with that person. You can do this on your own." And no word of a lie, that was when I registered the brand, the British School of Etiquette. And the first 6 months were phenomenal. They took off like a rocket. And then everything fell off the edge of a cliff. Boom. Now, to all of you out there, I was sitting at home in my own little beautiful home, my study. My wife was going off to work. I was on my own a lot of the time. I was lonely. My business was falling off the edge of a cliff. I was working off my overdraft facility, and I really was struggling. At the end of that year, my wife very kindly, and by the way, she was covering all costs. She was supporting the family and everything. And we went away at the end of that year, and I said to my wife, her name's Kerry, I said, I'm really at my wit's end right now. She said, you're not giving up. You're not giving up. And I said, I don't want to give up, but I do want to do two things. I want to take on some very powerful coaching when we get back, and I want to go and do some cognitive behavioral therapy. And that's exactly what I did. And again, she paid for me to go through this very, very expensive coaching. It was in the tens of thousands of dollars. And I dove straight in. And something out there that I want to share with all of you out there, whoever's listening, when a coach takes you on board, listen to what they share with you and act on it. Don't add your 10%, 5%, 1%. Act on it. So one of my coaches says to me, Coach Joey, he says, Philip, what are you doing in the business? And I said, well, I'm doing this. I was literally wearing every hat under the sun. I wasn't doing the website and I wasn't doing social media, but I was doing everything else. He says to me, you need to hire somebody. Well, I tell you what, my heart jumped into my throat. I think I was nearly ill. I said, Coach Joey, you don't understand. I'm living in my overdraft facility. He says, you need to hire somebody. Listen to your coach. The next day, I put an advert on a platform. I was blessed with the most wonderful woman by the name of Lucretia, who joined the team. And over a few weeks, things started to move, and she started to take care of all the transactional sort of side of things. I was able to take care of more the transition. Sorry, let me get that. More transitional sort of work and things like that. And like a ship, when you turn the rudder on a ship, it doesn't just boom move across. It takes time to move slowly across, and all of a sudden it finds its course. And that's exactly what happened here at the British School of Etiquette. And as a result, we are now the market leader in our industry. We are a global brand. We're growing. We've been able to pivot. We haven't given up. We've stayed focused and true to who we are. And there have been many curveballs along the journey. But I tell you something, through pure passion, desire, and surrounding ourselves with the best, most dynamic people, we are where we are today. And I'm just so grateful. And I say thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that transparency and that authenticity. See, people, that there's a real person here who just shared some of what he went through, and look at where he is now. So it can happen for everyone. I also want to say this, that along the way, you may have people who don't believe in what you're doing. You may have people who want to pull you down, and don't let that get in your head. Just a quick aside, I decided to write a book in February, and I published it May 22nd. It became bestseller June the 4th. But during that time, someone reached out to me and said, be careful that you're not rushing this book, because people take years to write books, and you don't want to embarrass the writing community. And I thought, so my point is, there's always going to be somebody who has something to say that's not in support of what you're doing. So just let that go. Use manners, be classy, right? And try to understand, like, why would somebody say something like that? So the point is, believe in yourself, be true to yourself, be kind to other people, and go out there and make it happen. Do it now, today. Take the first step.
100%. Live each day as if it were your last day. And I live my life like that. And like all of us, do I worry? Absolutely. But I found tools and ways to help me circumvent my worries by weighing the various tools I bring into play in doing that. And, ladies and gentlemen out there, everything is possible. If you want it to happen, you can make it happen. But please just understand the importance and power of getting rid of negative people in your life, getting rid of people who don't understand you or understand your journey, people who take from you the whole time and they don't reciprocate. They don't give any value to who you are or where you want to go in your life. Surround yourself with people who see something in you. Surround yourself with people who are positive, who are dynamic, who really can absolutely give you the support you need, and you will start to soar like an eagle. You really and truly will. And it's about not giving up, because it could be that last opportunity, boom, and something changes. You look at lovely stories like Edison, who invented the light bulb. He never said he failed. He said, I just worked up 10,000 ways of not to make a light bulb. So think about life like this, because there are so many amazing journeys and people out there who will motivate you and inspire you to move forward. But at the end of the day, it lies with you. It lies with you. You've either got to want to do it and you've got to motivate yourself to do it, because if you don't, you might as well stand on the top of the hill and hope a duck is going to fly into your mouth. It'll never happen.
And by the way, let's not kid ourselves. It's hard work, but it's so rewarding, and you want to keep coming back over and over again.
Oh, it's like a gift every day. It genuinely is. But it wasn't always like that. You've got to work at things, you know. It's like a marriage. It's like relationships. It's if you drive your motor vehicle, your car, and you don't put gas, as you call it in the US, or petrol or fuel, you're going to run out of petrol. You got to keep topping that thing up. You got to service the vehicle. And as you do with your life, you've got to keep topping yourself up with education. As I said earlier, get off your social media. Read, listen to amazing programs like Dr. Jacalyn's offering you. Find people out there who can teach you and learn. There's not a place that I don't go without a notebook. In the old days before lockdown, I was flying the world and I would always have my notebook. And the first thing I would do getting on an aircraft, I would find something of educational value. And then I would have my notebook and I would be with a pen and paper making notes on what I was watching, so I could add that to me, but also to share it with other people. And then I would kick back, relax, and watch a nice movie or get a good night's sleep before I had to land and present it, whatever it might be. But understand the importance of what I've shared with all of you.
Brilliant. And I do the same. I have a little book that I carry with me in my purse. I'm not going that many places, but even when I have a stationary bike, when I ride my bike, yesterday I took a course for an hour on social media. So, you know, you can do things at the same time, but if you're just staring into space and dreaming about how your life could be, it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen at all. No.
Philip, what is the best way for people to reach you? We're obviously streaming your information, but for people on the radio?
Certainly. The website is the 3 W's, www.thebritishschoolofetiquette.com, or you can reach us at hello@thebritishschoolofetiquette.com. Very, very easy to do so. We've also got all the social media channels. We have the British School of Etiquette YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter account, Instagram account. So if any of you go onto the website, you can access all our socials from there, and you can sign up to our newsletter. We don't spam anyone. We actually add value. We've got the most wonderful copywriter, an amazing woman who's been with the organization by the name of Orsa, who is a pure master at writing, and the value she adds in our newsletters is just phenomenal. So, you know, if any of you are wanting to sort of engage and learn and get some, you know, amazing knowledge of what we do, just sign up to the newsletter. I think the newsletter goes out twice a month. And then the YouTube channel, we've got some unbelievable interviews on there. EQ, the head of EQ faculty, Richard Cullinan, and I engage in conversation on some webinars where you will learn the power of, you know, EQ. You will learn 6 ways to handle your emotional state and things like that. So there's a huge amount of value that we add out there that you can just take and use at your disposal.
Thank you, Philip. And Philip is also part of our team of experts for A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And we're looking forward to having you come back and present us with some more wonderful knowledge and expertise.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn. It's such a pleasure and privilege to have the opportunity to engage with you. And again, I know we can't see the audience right now, but for all of you out there who made the effort, take the time, or for those of you who will listen when you get back from whatever you're doing, you know, thank you for taking the time to do so.
Thank you also. We're very happy to have our audience and our following, and we are aware of the fact that people are not always able to watch live because people are doing other things, but then they can go and watch on any of our sites at a later point in time. So thank you to all of you. And thank you so much, Philip, for being here, and I look forward to welcoming you back on A Better You.
Always a privilege and a pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You as well. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
He's so delightful and has so many wonderful pieces of wisdom to share with us. If you can be kind and you can be proper and you can be mannerly, why not do it? We all have the ability, and it's not hard to be nice to people. It's not hard to do the right thing. Just pay it forward and you'll feel so good about it. I just wanted to mention I have a new book. I alluded to this. It's behind the green screen. It's going to be hard to see here, so I'll use my little overlay. And as I mentioned, I was able to write this book in less than 3 months. I used a coach, and he was phenomenal. His name is Red O'Laughlin. So if anyone's interested, I can give you his contact information. But the book is really about my story. Philip and I were going back and forth about our stories, but how and why I left the corporate world, and it's probably not what you think it would be, and who I worked with to help me do it, and how I got to where I am. And by the way, where I am is still evolving. I'm in the process of a partnership with an incredible organization and individuals, coaches who are helping me with new branding, new marketing, and how I appear across social media, how we can help more and more people, new programming, new scheduling. So it's constantly evolving. And my point is that I can't do it all myself. So I'm working with other people. I didn't do everything I did to get here by myself. You have to have people in your corner, people who can help you, people who can support you, who see things that you don't see. So I hope that you will reach out, and you don't always have to pay people. You can find a lot of information online. And you can also barter, make trades with people. If, they'll give you coaching, you'll do this, maybe something from your business. There's a lot of ways that you can be creative and work with other people to try to help fulfill your dream and get you to where you want to go. That's all we have for right now. We've got another show coming up, A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And Hyatt Ives will be back talking to us about how to create your own trade show, which is something near and dear because we have a program coming out, Journey to a Better You, in 2020. It's going to be in October, an in-person event. And Hyatt has written a book, 88 Strategies on Event Planning. So he's going to give us some of his guidance and expertise. After that, immediately, we will have presenting pet psychic Amina, and our guest is the Reverend Dottie Boone. And following that, stories of hope, inspiration, overcoming adversity. And my guest will be Amina, the pet psychic. She's going to share her backstory of how and why she is where she is today. And it's interesting because people always ask her a lot of questions about when did she know she was a psychic, and can somebody else become a psychic? Do you have to have innate skills? Can you take courses? So we'll get to hear her journey. Thank you so much for being here. We will see you very shortly in another 35 minutes, I believe. Take care.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.